So on today's leadership training session, I've got my good friend and mentor, Kevin, with me. And Kevin, one of the things that I ask a lot of leaders who have gone before me, because you are significantly older than me.
Oh, hey.
We actually both have the gray hair, so there's not too much distance between us. But one of the questions that I like to ask leaders is this. If you could go back to the 25-year-old self, which was like 5 years ago.
Right. Exactly.
Absolutely,
yes.
right? If you could go back to the 25-year-old self, what would you tell that person? What key leadership lessons or principles have you learned since being 25 that you wish you knew back then?
So a couple come on the top of my head as we talk about this. The first one is something we call now to own my own growth.
Okay.
When I was 25, I graduate college, I get a job, start doing things. But the concept of me owning my own growth, if I've got a question, I need to go find the answer to it. If I need a certification, I need to go get it. Mm-hmm. I think oftentimes when young people are in that stage of life, you start, I'm not getting the opportunities. It's like, man, own your own growth.
Like people are not pouring into me, right?
If nobody's pouring, go find a mentor. I mean, you own your own growth. Is a big concept that we really try to instill in people today. And if I was talking to myself at 25, I'd say, hey, Kevin, own your own growth. It's the first one that comes to mind.
Kevin, I really like that because I think so many people are passive about that. They feel like that this should just be handed to them instead of them being proactive. And then they blame other people, right?
People complain about lower socioeconomic people living in that place, that maybe they live as victims. It's not just something at that level. And I work with a lot of people in lower socioeconomic areas, middle income, upper. There is sometimes a victim mentality of like, man, nobody's giving me this, nobody's doing this. Like, look, own your own growth. You take the initiative. That would be a huge. I'd probably slap myself as a 25 to make sure I heard that one.
That's good.
Yeah.
What's number 2?
Okay, so it's 2008. Market's changing. We're contemplating laying people off, and it was like this, what's going on moment for me. And the words of a friend start ringing in my head that you need to manage your own employability. You need to manage your own employability. It's like, that's really interesting that, guys like, I think it's Covey who says, sharpen the saw.
Yep.
It's the same type of concept, but managing your own employability is like, look, are you being excellent in what you're doing right now? Because, man, you want to get a great job, be excellent today, first of all. To think about, as I'm working and as I'm living and growing, what type of skills am I kind of gathering into my portfolio of life? Managing your employability, because that concept, when people were getting laid off in 2008, things like that, there's this feeling of, what have I done up to now that if I do leave this role, that I've done a good job then managing my employability. It means keeping a good reputation while you're doing it. That's all part of managing your employability. So I think that's another big concept.
I really like that, Kevin, because sometimes we can get caught in the here and now. And we don't think that this job could end or this could change. And so really what it is you're just thinking forward. You're thinking 5 years down the road. And so what you're doing is that you're investing in yourself, right? With skills and stuff like that will help prepare you if those changes come. What's number 3?
Okay, so this one's for you.
Oh, specifically for me.
This one.
All right, here we go.
So as I think back, Proverbs 20:29, and you know me, I mean, I base life off the scriptures, right? So Proverbs 20:29 says, the glory of young men is their strength, the splendor of old their gray hair. So you match that with psychological terms, I guess you'd say, is they call it the illusion of invulnerability. Till you're about 25 years old, you just think, man, nothing can stop me, nothing can hurt me, things like that. As a 25-year-old, I probably bought into that a little bit as well. I'm sure you probably did it too, let's be honest.
Well, I mean, you knew me at 25.
I know, we did. We did. So the glory of young men is their strength. Well, that's good. I mean, you're young, you're spry, you're strong, that's good. The splendor of old, their gray hair. That as a 25-year-old, I'd say, you know what? Don't make an older person convince you that they have wisdom to offer you. Recognize, there's splendor in that gray hair right there. There's life, there's wrinkles, there's experience, I've messed up, I've learned, I've been humbled, I've learned, I've succeeded, here's what I did. The glory of young men is their strength, the splendor of old their gray hair. As a 25-year-old, to Kevin, I'd say to myself at 25, hey, you go start noticing those people that are a little bit older, a little more seasoned, with some wrinkles and gray hair, and just start learning from them in their life.
You know what I like about that, Kevin, is because let's just be honest. Most young leaders have a little bit, especially like the type A, have a little bit of arrogance.
Yeah.
I know you I know you saw that in me as well. But it's the idea, it's the idea of you don't know what you don't know.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
And what was so interesting about you said that was that I was challenged a couple years ago by a mentor and a good friend of mine to not read as many leadership books.
Yeah.
And you would think, wait, that's what I do is leadership. But he said, Shawn, why don't you read more biographies and autobiographies? Because anyone can write a book about leadership, but there's something about a leader who has withstood the test of time.
That's right. That's right.
I mean, it's going exactly what you're saying.
That's exactly right. That there is, over a period of time like that, there is learning. It's kind of, people say either you win or you learn.
Yeah.
Right? If that's your mentality, either you win or you learn. For people that have been through life, there's a lot of that winning and there's a lot of that learning. Mm-hmm. And as a 25-year-old, yes, you got strength, you got ideas, you got ambition. That's all great. But there's also value in the gray hair of saying, I need to learn from you.
Absolutely. Well, here's today's game plan, okay? As we wrap up, here's what I want you to do. I want you to think back, whether you're 25, 35, or 45, I want you to think back to 5 years ago. And just as I asked Kevin what he learned at 25, I just want you to ask yourself, what are some of the key lessons or principles that you learned in the last 5 years? I think it's always good.
I like that.
To be reminded.
I got to say something too.
Yeah.
Because this is our last video. I think we're going to do
It is.
And I think it's important for people who trying to make an impact with people. Shawn, I just want you to know, and I hope people know this about you, I'm just really, really proud of you. I am, because I've known you for 18 years, like we talked about earlier, which is surprising to me. But one thing that's been consistent among a lot of things about you is your desire to invest your life into influence and impact other people. So much so you're going out of your way now to go, man, how can I just give this stuff away on videos and things like that? I'm just really grateful to see a guy like you, as you've grown, you're consistent. I sure appreciate that about you.
Well, thanks, man.
Yeah,
I appreciate that. And we got this on video for everybody now, too. So I'm going to hold it against you.
Yeah.
Now, so I'm going to leave our tweetable lesson. And I think it goes right along with what you're saying, because this is something that I've tried to do with guys like you and other people in my life. And here's the thing. Great leaders, effective leaders, they learn from the leaders who have gone before them.
Mm-hmm.